Morning everyone, Marc de Bruin from Simplifying Life. In these weird times, it's actually early August 2020 with coronavirus and COVID going on. Obviously, I speak with more people nowadays about all the mental health challenges that they are having because of it. And it prompted me to record this video because a theme keeps coming up, and that's let's call it the idea that it would not be okay to feel bad, or that we have problems with feeling bad as if it's something that needs fixing. And I'm not going to go into a whole philosophical discussion about emotions and all that sort of stuff, because I'm not going technical today. We just wanted to chat with you potentially a little bit about my own life and about how that's taken place and what things do to me. I've always been a bit prone, I think, if you look back at my life, or if I look back at my own life, I've always been a bit prone to the dark side of the force, if you will. Always a bit heavy-handed, I think, emotionally and mentally, looking at what could go wrong, how things are not working, how life is hard, like it's climbing a mountain, how it's not easy and how it should be more easy. I've always had that streak somewhere in one part of me. And then on the other side, there's the eternal optimist that definitely believes that there's a higher power at the wheel of this thing we call life. That there is purpose, that there is meaning to what we're doing, and then it's just a matter of keep following what's going on. And I think the problem is with many people now, and that's something I do see in counseling and psychological science as well, is that we are supposed to feel good. That there is this idea that we should feel good, and if we don't feel good, then that is really bad and that needs fixing. And I think over the 51 years that I've been roaming this planet, I think that's a really, excuse me if I offend anyone, but I think that's a really stupid idea, to always want to have the good without the bad. It's like, if life is a sine wave just going on, we like the tops, but we don't like the bottoms. So if we can just scrap the bottoms out and find a magic pill to only have the tops, and then we'd be happy and everything would be good, which is just complete nonsense. It doesn't happen that way. So when you look at what's going on with COVID and with coronavirus, and especially in Victoria, in the state of Victoria and in Australia, where they've gone into the harshest lockdown ever, it's okay to not feel good. It's absolutely okay to lose your cool. It's totally fine to lose the plot. It's totally okay to potentially have some coping strategies that are maybe not the most effective ones. It's totally okay to feel horrible, to feel hopeless, to feel desperate, to feel like things are not going well. I've had that feeling, not necessarily related to COVID, but I've had those feelings many a time in my life where I actually, when I was younger, thought of, it was like, well, beam me up, Scotty. There's no intelligent life down here. Just get me out of this place. Not suicidal, but definitely not enjoying myself. And I still go through those phases, not regularly, but at certain stages in my life. And I don't like them. They're not fun. They're actually quite horrible. But I also know I come back out. So it's part of that big sine wave that is called life. So the last one I had, the real big one, is about 4 years ago in 2016, and it took me 9 months, mind you. That's quite a while, but it wasn't bad all the way. But there was this big, wet, as I always describe the climb, big, wet, heavy, musty, stinky blanket that just lay over me and making me feel, depressed, whatever you want to call it. And it was always there. It was just constantly there. And that was not a great feeling. Mentally not, emotionally not, physically even not, because I could nearly feel it. It was lying over me. And I can only imagine the people in Victoria, but even other parts of the world and even in other parts of Australia, potentially feel a very similar way. This physical weighing down or being weighed down by what's going on. Now, that's not okay from a feeling point of view. It's like, I totally understand if you don't like it, but our bodies, our brain, our spirit, whatever you want to call it, is quite okay with it. It can handle it. We can handle it. I'm absolutely convinced. There's lots of psychological research science in what's called the psychological immune system, and it absolutely kicks in times like these. It kicks in. Our bodies are okay with it, even though it doesn't feel great. Our brains are fine with it, even though we're thinking weird thoughts. Our whole endocrinological system, our emotions are okay with it, even though all these feelings feel crap. and it's totally okay to feel that way. Yeah, so what's the gist of this? Because I don't want to keep rambling on. I could go on about this for an hour, and I might in another video. But what's the gist of this? First of all, it's okay to not be okay. Remember that one. It's totally okay to not be okay. It's also okay to realize that this will pass. Yeah, because it will. At some point, this will pass. So this is not going to stay forever. It's also okay to realize that you can cope, or make it more personal, I can cope. It's okay to realize that as well. And it's also okay that you don't have to have your shit together and have all your good coping strategies all lined up to be okay. It's sometimes okay to go off the rails. It's fine, as long as you afterwards get back up again. And another thing to realize is that, how shall I put it? Well, it's not going to stay that way. Things will change. I think that's the main one. You know, things will get better. And as long as you can hold on to something that says you're doing all right, it's okay to not be all right, you know, to feel that way, and things will get better. You can get through this. Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. The idea that people seem to have, and that the world seems to profess, that we always have to be feeling good, that we always have to strive for more, that feeling bad is not a good thing and that needs to be fixed or erased or buffed up or polished, you know, so that it looks shiny, it's completely stupid. It's not reality. Yeah, life deals you blows. Life chucks you curveballs. It stomps you in the face. It sucker punches you every now and then. And it's okay to not be okay with that. Yeah, so and I hear that often, if clients come to me and say, look, Mark, give me the magic pill, you know, help me sort this out so I can be happy, and they generally mean happy forever, and I'm like, won't work. Yeah, all the personal development stuff that says, oh, there is a secret to life and then you'll be happy. Well, if you find it, let me know. But as long as we are human beings, and as long as I can still go up and down as well, even though I know most of the techniques, I don't think there'll be a day where we'll live happily ever after and everything's completely rosy, not on this three-dimensional planet. So what's the main goal with that one? Stop hunting for that. Just stop that pursuit of happiness. Just don't do it. Yeah, realize that life sometimes just stinks. It just stinks. And for Victorians in Australia, life must stink at the moment. It just must. And there is still stuff that you can do about that. But to not accept the fact that life stinks, I think is the biggest problem of it all. If you can let go of that one, then we're already halfway up towards a solution, because then you can sit in that stuff. You know, I have been learning, and I'm still learning, to sit with that heavy blanket over me, that wet, musty blanket, and to not want to get it off of me. Just to be okay with it being there, and to try as much as possible to engage in self-care strategies, to do things I normally would enjoy. Because I know as long as I keep that up, at some point that blanket will come off me automatically. I don't really have to do much for it. So I hope that makes sense. I know it's a bit of a ramble, but I think we're all getting too caught up in this, we must fight the bad so that we can only have the good. It just doesn't work that way. And we actually set ourselves up for more failure, more misery, and more trouble if we keep that attitude up. Whereas if we can just go with the flows of life and work towards, you know, positive psychology, towards being as most effective as possible in times good and in times bad, then life actually becomes a lot easier. So I hope that makes sense. If you've got questions about it, if you want to contradict me, if you don't agree at all, let me know. Happy to have a debate about that. Find me on Facebook, find me on LinkedIn, find me on the internet, just type in my name, and we'll keep discussing. Have a good day. See ya.